We have just come out of a non-public session under RSA 91A:3, Section D. And seeing that we have no members of the public in the room, we can get right into new business, the deliberative session presentation. So at our last meeting, we had discussed how we were going to present our two warrant articles, warrant articles 18 and 19. Between Jason and I had sent Jason over a few slides as a gist, and then we kind of combine those together and basically discuss them here, what we want to discuss at the deliberative session on Saturday.
So I got these slides from Matt for Articles 18 and 19. So one slide here has the verbiage on it, the actual article right there. And then Matt put together these bullets right here. I don't know, Matt, if you have.
This one was kind of going into the rationale of why we want to raise the cap. You know, it's a fund that is used for both. It's both a conservation fund and a land acquisition fund. So it's a little bit of, juggling.
Well, I'm going to be presenting it as a selectman.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll take that information and use it.
This is the beginning of the information, though, Kev. There's going to be more.
Yep.
I can't do any more.
All right. So not to beat around the bush, I took this and kind of put together a much more elaborate presentation, and you guys can figure out what you want to do.
Wow.
And this is based on the discussion that we had at the last meeting where we have to educate the public on what the land use change tax is, make sure that they know that it's not coming from their taxes.
No problem stepping down.
And all that type of stuff. So I'll just thumb through this. I've got the article right there. And then we're going to say something like, all right, the town has a conservation fund, and this is what it's basically supposed to be used for. You know, the goal of the conservation fund is primarily to purchase land that will protect town character and farmland and natural resources and historic properties, and will increase recreational opportunities, and also will actually save land from development property up there for the folks, and will highlight the river access and Moores Falls up the street and Muster Field. And actually Parker Park has a conservation easement on top of it, just to give them a few examples. And then I put in here, how is the conservation fund funded? Well, it's funded by developers through the land use change tax. Let me know if any of this is wrong. And it is not funded through property taxes. Trying to make it clean, clear, and simple.
Nice.
Yep.
So then they might say, what the heck is the land use change tax? And so how does the land use change tax work? I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. And Joan, scrutinize it if anything is wrong here. Owners of large tracts of land like the horse farm get a tax break if their land stays undeveloped per New Hampshire RSA and current use laws.
Yeah.
But when that land that's in current use gets developed, the developer pays the land use change tax, a penalty. And that land use change tax, as we discussed tonight, is 10% of the value of the property.
Okay, it's the current use. You can say gets developed, or when the use changes. Same thing, I guess.
Okay.
Are you making notes on that? The suggestions?
But it's the same. It's the same thing. It's
Same thing,
gets
okay.
developed or
It does say
or
the
the
same
use
thing.
changes.
We can go through it and just like check out the wording, or we can keep it simple and with the one slide.
Yeah.
And 80% of the land use change tax funds that come in go to the conservation fund, 20% goes to the town. So the status of the current conservation fund is the fund currently has a cap of $1 million per vote in 2014. I'll have to get the number, but 950, 980, whatever the number is, currently exists in the fund. And once we reach $1 million, no land use change tax funds can be deposited into that conservation fund. So that's where we lose money. What this article is asking is to increase the conservation fund cap from $1 million to $2.5 million. And as mentioned, these funds aren't raised through property taxes. And the passing of this article will help the town purchase properties to retain the character and protect resources and to prevent development of land. And so why is this important? There's a couple reasons for it. We had that poll about 3 months ago where 86% of the people in town said protecting town character was paramount. The lowest cost to the taxpayer, as we said the last meeting, is for land to sit there vacant. As soon as a house gets put on a piece of property and the kid goes to the school, it's a negative on the taxpayer. The cost of land, this was put out in 2014, $1 million, has risen rapidly. Land has probably doubled in the last 10 years or so. So that's a compelling reason. And then just conserving land in general puts less stress on the school, less stress on town services, protects our resources, protects wildlife, protects history. And these are the last two slides, and I don't know if we want to go in this direction, but for some folks, they're thinking about money, and they're thinking about why should we put this money toward conservation? Why not give the money to the taxpayer? Well, there's a direct financial impact if you think about it. You take the river access with 14 acres of land, and which we got a 15-acre piece of property we paid $600,000 for. You put 10 houses on that piece of property, there's 20 kids in those houses, that's $400,000 worth of services through schools and through plowing the roads and all those types of things that are consumed a year. But we're only getting $10,000 a year for each property. So we're getting $100,000, but we're putting out $400,000. So who's paying the rest, the $300,000? That's sprinkled amongst everybody else in town. So the point of this is that conservation land actually can potentially save the taxpayer money. So that's why
I think that's a good point to make.
it's
Yeah, I
a good
did too.
investment.
Open space.
And boom, we're done.
Beautiful.
Good. You're going to be at the meeting. You did a good presentation. I'll allow you to take my step.
Unfortunately, it's all the way at the end, but she go back.
It's something though that if we would approve it, it's something that we can run on the WhatsApp page with its viewership and get some people that will have time to watch it. We can put it on the conservation page. We can put it on the WhatsApp page. We can put it on the town page. I don't know how they'll feel about that, but we can put it in some other areas. We can put it on my garden page. I got 400 people on that page too.
They can watch it tonight.
And put that slideshow on there so that we can share it and people will get an understanding and they can ask questions which can be answered between now and voting day.
And then let's just look at Matt. So in 2014, let's just see if anything is missed. Cap was $1 million. Land purchase. Is there anything here that?
So I think the only thing is that in 2014, we also made sure that the voters made sure that this fund was for two purposes, for land acquisition and for general conservation expenses. So that could mean a lot. And it was anything under RSA 36A, which basically left it very broad and what this account could be used for. So now it's not just.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go into that.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, that is.
What about where the money goes if we don't use it? Because we don't really explain that.
I
And
mean, the excess money.
Yeah.
if it spills over the cap, then all of a sudden we have this money that can be used
Well, that's
for
the next warrant article.
anything.
And I discussed.
That'll be 19.
That's number 9. Yeah, the next.
But what will happen if we don't use this and we spill over? Should we be explaining that? You don't want to explain that here? Too?
No, but I can, and I'm going to just do this.
Think about it. I know that you'll make the right decision, but at least think about
Primarily for land
explaining
purposes.
what's happening with that money.
Jason, do you see where it says protect historical resources? Now, there's a Heritage Commission.
But they have no money.
This is true. But isn't that their function?
To do it.
I don't think that would
protect it.
exclude us
No.
necessarily.
No,
I mean, you have
can be both.
historical
Yeah.
things at Moore's
It
Falls,
can be both.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It can be
lock
both,
and all
Harry.
that stuff.
No, I mean, I'm just asking the question, you know.
We're not going to buy any property on 3A. To me, it's just historical. So
And you have, like Mike just said, the lock system at Moore's Falls, that was a historic.
And that's part of history. yeah.
And then you have the
Okay,
foundations
I mean-
and all that. So
You got the lock system, or you got the down the other in town where the power line crosses there, the butt plant. there's an area there where you bring boats up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But we've spent a lot of time trying to develop plans to purchase land too. And granted, any big amount of land is going to cost upwards, quite a bit of money. So,
And probably something to address as well is that when the CIP committee did its survey, I think one of the things that was in that survey that I recall is that a lot of people wanted to see the protection of conservation resources.
That is a
Yes.
good
That was
one.
number
That is
one
the CIP one,
on the,
yep.
on the survey.
that was a
So,
huge response to them.
yeah.
And if I remember correctly, that stunned a few people because it ended up finishing out of a
Right.
whole list of a dozen things. It ended up
Yeah.
finishing like 3 or 4 up near the
Yes.
top.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Do you want me to send this out
I think so.
to people like as a PDF?
I think, no, I
2
think,
days.
I think we've got it. I don't want you to have to put any more work into and waiting for any more
I just want to make sure
replies.
that
The only-
nothing's wrong with it. You
No,
know,
I don't see anything wrong.
I don't
The
see anything
argument
wrong
you're
with
gonna get is we're taking the land off the tax rolls. I can hear that already.
Most of the land that's coming off the tax
Is it-
rolls current
It's in
use,
current use, yeah, so that's,
so it's not a loss.
So you need to
You
explain
brings that
current,
up.
just make sure that you spend time explaining current use. Talk about it.
well, I like where he says it's not from tax.
Say it a lot.
Yeah.
Say it a lot. Say it in a lot of places, say it a lot, because it has never been money that has come out of a taxpayer's money pocket unless they're a developer.
but the thing is that because it's in current use, they're paying a fraction of the actual value
Right.
of the property.
Right.
So the amount of money coming into the town, I'm assuming, is really,
Right, most of it that we are buying is in current use already, right?
So they're getting very little in taxation from that land.
I'm thinking the
Very,
river
very
access,
little.
which is 15 acres. We maybe got $1,000 a year for that
That was in current use.
Was.
So that's what current use value is, though. That's what they would pay as a current, as a landowner.
Again,
If you had,
if you leave your
50
land-
acres that
If you
were in
leave your
current
land
use.
Current use for 7 to 10 years, you're okay. If you can't just leave it in a year and then take it out, because then you're gonna get penalized, but.
But this land that we're talking about, the tax bill for 50 acres that's in current use and has been in current use for 50 years is what? Do you
Right,
think?
and it's on the land, and the buildings are excluded. You have to keep an acre out for the residential, and the buildings are excluded from the current use.
But I'm still not getting an answer. How much money do you think the taxes are on a piece of?
I don't know.
Okay,
Well,
we
the
don't know. But
variance
if you
idea
call Terry Briand tomorrow, she might know.
is taking that land.
Call
that
Terry
we used for
and
density
say,
to keep it still open.
for this,
It's made
and you can
by Hill.
give her an example of Charlie McQuestion's
Yeah, but you
land.
can't
How much
throw
is
any
in?
examples of, especially not the horse farm. You can't.
no, I'm going
throw
to change that out.
Yeah, I agree.
examples of-
There's another
I
thing
mean,
too,
even
the
for
horse farm,
taxes.
if you think about it, and the way that the regulations, the density regulation is written up, we didn't want high density, okay, a lot of units. But here, if he does get a variance, and we still have, they still got their stuff, and we gained the land out of that, so it's not the part of the condo association, but it's ours, okay? So there's a merit to that.
Well, he would still need the 2.5 units per acre, that amount. So that's where he would need the variance.
That's it, 'cause that's what I'm saying. If he gets the variance, so we don't, that doesn't have to include that land at all. It's all on the other side of the power line. The only thing he's gonna have to do is water holes.
I don't know how it would work, but anyway, that's,
All right,
So, Joan, I'll put a picture of the river access up there.
Yep.
Instead.
I mean, I wasn't that worried about the horse farm, but I don't think you can put up somebody's taxes and say this.
Oh, I got you.
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
The one, I did not do because this is an easy one, I think. It
It's
might be
simple.
one slide. I did not do the Article 19, but I'll
It speaks for itself.
put a couple of slides, or Matt,
Yeah, you can just kind of take what I have and Frankenstein it into,
Okay.
polish it up as needed.
So after this
Kids.
meeting, can the three of you hang out and kind of do what your presentation would be? Do a dry run? It shouldn't take too long. That was really quicker than I thought
Matt
it was going to
informed me
be.
that he's not going to be there on Saturday. Is that true?
I might be able to wiggle around sometimes, so we'll
You're
see.
This
taking
is
off
gonna be
this
all the way at
weekend.
the end, though.
Yeah. So we'll,
Yeah, because we're second, right? The town is
Zoning's always first, yeah,
We
So
start, we
12.
start at noon.
in
Ours
time.
starts at noon,
if the school's done.
and then we're at the end of the end.
Yeah.
Conservation
Sort of,
Commission,
I
we are
think.
Article
I will
19
tell you,
out of
it's
how
gonna go
many?
quick.
It's going to go
It's
quick?
gonna go quick?
It's gonna go
Are you
quick.
saying or
Zoning's gonna
praying?
go quick.
I think you just jinxed us.
Are you saying or praying?
No, I think it's gonna go quick.
Matt, do you want me to do Article 18 and want me to put a couple of slides together and have you do Article 19?
Yeah.
And if you miss it, Kevin can do it.
We'll give you something to do with there, Selectman.
I got it. Yeah. Mhm.
All
You
right.
have to
I
be
got
there
the
anyway.
highway department hiring a guy. That's fun.
right.
Well, I think that'll be a
All
good
right.
one.
Okay.
So we're
Okay,
done with that.
sounds
All right. Well,
Okay, next.
okay.
Very nice job,
Old
guys.
Business. Machinery purchase update.
I'll
Jason.
be very fast.
Good.
The brush hog was brought to the guy in Manchester last week. I dropped it off at 10 a.m. and I said, "This is the problem with the brush hog." And he said, "I'll be able to tell in a half hour on what's going on." 6 hours later, he called me up and said, "It's fixed. Come pick it up."
The DRMO you're talking about.
The DR mower, excuse
Cool.
me. The DR
For
mower
how
is
much?
fixed. Come pick it up. $290.
Wow.
Under
And-
budget.
He put in a new carburetor. He put in new seals. He said the engine was fine. We don't need a new engine. He sharpened up the blade. He put new spark plugs on there, changed everything out,
Oil
even
change.
welded underneath where it was broken. Fixed it all up. Knock on wood, come next spring, it works like a charm.
Good
Very
job.
good.
We
Woohoo!
have had some issues with that where we run it for a day and then it starts petering out. Hopefully that won't be the case. But the guy knew what he was doing, and it doesn't surge anymore, Matt.
Good.
You know how when you start it up, it
Yeah.
boom,
Nice.
boom, it
Yeah.
doesn't
That's
surge.
the
anymore.
car. The
Now, what did he
carburetor
say to
did
do
that.
with the gas over the winter?
He actually gave me a sheet of paper that says this is what you should do over the winter and so on.
Go buy
He-
airplane gas?
He put in and he said you can keep the gas in there, put additive in there, gave me the best additive to put in the gas. He actually put a new gas shutoff valve right up on top of the mower. So when we're done using the mower, we shut the gas off and let it run out so it
Very
doesn't
nice.
gunk up the carburetor.
This guy done this stuff.
So
before.
yeah, I was impressed.
All right.
Really nice.
Yeah, it was almost done too fast.
Woohoo.
The-
And is there a warranty on that? Will he like?
No.
15 years old.
The other thing is
I
I know. I'm so.
the enclosed trailer is fixed. So we figured out where the break in the roof was, Steve Gannon and I, and we fixed the roof. So the roof should no longer leak.
Very nice.
Put some special Eternabond tape that they use on campers up there, and it should seal out the leak. And it was a pretty big leak. Somebody hit a tree or something like that at some point in time, and the roof kind of split in half. But it only split for maybe 2 feet or so. So that was all fixed.
Nice.
And then the third thing is we started working on the ATV, and we pulled the carburetor out, and that's being cleaned now. So we're going to probably try to put the carburetor in this weekend or next weekend. So those 4 things will be done by the end of the month for sure.
Perfect. All right. Okay. Next up, barn move.
Put together a couple slides here, and maybe Joan, you can.
It was an interesting meeting with the guy who actually moves barns. His equipment is stored over at Warren Adams' place.
Can you give me his name first and last? No. Could you send it to me?
Matt Admiral.
Matt, Mattadmiral. Matt Admiral. Okay.
Out of Goffstown.
He outranks me.
Hmm?
He outranks me.
So it is 2 floors. Like we said, the bottom, they had made cinder blocks in there to do stalls. It was pretty funny because they were standing there talking, and all of a sudden they turned around and there's a horse. Still horses in there. So the upstairs, we did go upstairs, is really huge. The inside of the roof line is the original boards, and it's got post and beam pegged up there. The outside of the roof is metal. They did metal
Nice.
roof on the outside.
You still got the boards on.
That's
the
a good
metal is
thing.
on it, right?
Yeah, the boards are underneath. Yeah,
Okay.
the metal. They put
The shingles probably there too.
well, he thought I don't know if it was plywood or what,
They
but
just go over the.
That's
so
the
the guy
second
said
floor.
he would have to make 7 holes in the structure, 5 this way and 2 this way to lift it and move it. If we're interested, we would next talk to National Grid and say, pretty please, can we move it under your power lines? Rick Charbonneau thought you only had to be 10 feet from the power lines, but we don't know the case. And like I said,
It took
Eric
some
Mitchell's company's gonna-
measurements, Joan, so I think we're about 50 feet long by 30, what's that say, 38 feet
30.
wide. And it was somewhere in the vicinity of just shy of 30 feet high.
So
I know
they're going to
wires.
survey the lines and see how high they are, which I thought National Grid should know, but I guess they want it on the ground how high they are.
Hmm.
Good place for it right there.
That would be the move right there.
So we do have someone who would put down a cement pad for us with foundation. Building inspector said we would need a foundation, not just a pad. 4 foot, like whatever the hell they do.
Point loads on there. You can do it with a point load.
So we
You know
have
what
someone
you're
who'd
talking
do that. It would be 35,000 to move the barn from the barn mover person.
I think it's an amazing thing to do and leave for the town.
And then
Interesting for sure.
Put a couple, so if we moved it, that's where it would go, about 1,000 feet. And then I just kind of took a look at where it could potentially go. And so the yellow line that you see on both of these is you can see the parking lot on both of the pictures. The yellow line is the easement. So we need to kind of try to stay outside the easement if possible. So if you look at the left, if it scales correctly, that might be a spot where it could go. And then on the right is a poor man's Photoshop of what it might look like from the air. And then I Photoshopped the barn in on what it might look like from the parking lot. I don't know if the scale's 100% correct, but it's probably
It's
pretty
so
close.
cool.
Good job.
Looks nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Can you move it by Photoshop too?
That would be cool.
We were thinking of getting some logs, Kevin, and lifting it up and then having you and Harry pull it over there.
We'll roll it.
with your
Roll
oxen.
it.
We'll get a
I
tractor.
have rollers.
We can get some horses to help you.
I know there's a bunch of logs on West Road sitting over there. No,
That's
So-
amazing.
that won't be bad to move in that field too, because that's a hard paddock. And
Yeah.
that truck will carry it right through there. And it's underneath the power lines, it's still hard.
So as far as uses, whatever your imagination can come up with for uses, it's a good shape, wouldn't you say? It's in pretty good shape.
It seemed to be in decent shape. I did walk around back, and the back is a little rough.
What we didn't look at, what somebody told me to look at.
And that's where I
powder
was
post
in the back.
beetles, but it's on a cement pad now. So we have to make sure there isn't any sawdust around the beams, on the bottom of the beams, or anywhere on the beams. But I would have thought that the mover would have.
You wouldn't
spotted
notice that.
These are some of the questions that we were talking about when we were there. It said, like Joan said, 35,000. Can we put it under the power lines? We have the fish and game easement to deal with.
Yeah.
We might get some help with site work.
Fishing game easement is reference to what?
They
The power
have an
line.
easement
Over
on
that whole
the top 18 acres.
yeah.
They made that an easement because that was part of the court agreement.
Yeah, they have it basically for habitat, but it was part of the agreement, I think.
Okay,
Whole northern half.
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
we're talking about tentatively, we're talking about putting this on a slab if it goes.
With footings, yeah.
You probably
Is there
could do
anything that
monolithic
we
there.
could do other than a slab?
Insulation.
The building inspector said no, it had to be a foundation.
Well, no,
Well,
he said
there's a
you'd have to
difference
have,
between a foundation and the slab.
yeah, it wouldn't just be a, Harry, it wouldn't just be a slab, it would be with foundation, with, I guess, 4 foot. You'd have to get down into the
Footings.
cross line.
Yeah.
Well, the
No,
different-
what I'm thinking of is that we're probably not gonna have heat in there, I'm assuming,
No,
right?
no.
And what I'm thinking of is our friendly neighborhood mice and insects getting in through the bottom.
Oh, definitely.
Well, that's why you
There'd be
want
a
it
lot of
on.
feral cats in there too.
We'll just add to the character.
want it
Well,
on
I'm just
cement.
wondering if we can't maybe raise it up a little bit other than putting it on a straight slab to get it off the, I don't know.
They're gonna
Well,
get in there
okay,
anyway.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what that's gonna do.
Construction wise, Harry, you've got to get a minimum about 6 inches off the wood, 6 inches away from the ground. Okay, minimum. And
Okay.
that's because of splash and rot coming off. Okay, that's code.
Okay.
The other way of doing the foundation systems have changed. I know he may be a little young at this, but they do make a monolithic slab on permafrost. And they use steel and stuff like that. But you won't have the you can insulate the ground with 2 inches of foam insulation all the way around that thing. Okay, but you also got point loads in the building where the posts come down from above because it's like that. Those buildings. So you do the same thing. You just put a footing in there with
So
insulation.
there are something that we could probably do to
Is that the
our
ways of
friendly
doing it?
neighborhood,
Now, when he said that, I wasn't clear on who was going to take the cement blocks out, and then there's steel rods in there, but who would do all that?
He can
He
do
would.
that. He jacks
He's
the house
looking
up
at it.
and he smashes them out.
But then,
I think
you know,
so,
here's
but the problem is
the,
there's no posts.
Well,
Because they
there's steel,
chopped the post at the second floor, I thought.
but there's steel rods inside the cement blocks.
Okay.
You always tell me they got concrete pillars,
No, walls.
post.
Walls.
How high?
Like 4
that
feet.
high.
4
8
feet.
feet? I don't-
Inside?
Yeah. Was it?
So
Boy.
Kevin, the top floor is original. It's got the post and beam.
Yeah.
The posts come down
And set
from
on
the top
us.
floor to the floor,
It's-
but someone cut them at the floor and built a cinder block wall on the first floor. So the second floor is a beam, comes down to a cinder block wall on the first floor. But you said there's a metal.
Yeah, because
Betty did
What's
that
her-
years ago.
significant other's name. I forget.
oh, I forget.
Well, he said when
Admiral?
David,
David, when he built it, there's steel rods in there, steel beams
Yes,
in
yeah.
there. You should probably take a look at it.
I
before-
should.
I would, yeah, I'd love
Yes.
that. That would make me happy.
What did it look like around the back on the outside?
It
Because
didn't
I was
look good.
sitting on the back when, I was sitting on
They
the
only
back
made
of it when
the
Darlene told me that.
three
they
sides
wouldn't
look good,
insure
'cause that's what
I
you
was sitting
saw.
around back.
The back, they never do anything. That's the farmer's way.
Right,
curled
right,
up.
right,
It
right.
was there, but the wood looked
It's all
like the
curled
sun
up.
had beat it. It was all curled up.
It's farmer's
Reggie
way.
was talking about you would want to take that siding off and put original siding on, but I don't know. He said it's expensive. Find it, but it's expensive.
Well, the back side of it, you can leave that. You got a good siding on 3 sides. The back side, you can put up some plywood and eventually do something in the future.
Then we'll have to
Paint it
think
red.
about long-term maintenance too.
Yep.
Would be nice to talk to the historical society too. I'm not even sure if they've had a meeting since COVID, but it would be nice to sit and talk to the historical society about that barn as well.
Is that barn really?
Tell them what we're thinking and get their thoughts about keeping it.
I gotta look.
I
at it.
think I think it would also look pretty cool if we were to
35%.
like kind of replicate what it would have looked like when it was
Pieces of
first built in
I think I'd
1810,
for sure.
1820.
That one
That'd
big
be
house.
amazing.
Yeah, and I know that there was
Long
some
time ago.
cost involved in there, but you know,
I just think it's really going to do a
Some-
lot. That and the combination of keeping that house is going to be a lot
But we have to
for
look
the
at
perception of the
cost versus
Reality.
reality,
Yeah.
right?
35,000. I don't think
No,
it's
but that's
terrible
just-
to
that's
move
just
it.
to move
I
it.
know.
and
So
that's
then what do we do to raise money for it? Do we get a group of people? Like I was saying, bring the
GoFundMe
historic
page?
society.
Bake
Do we
sale.
get,
Bake sale.
yes,
but-
and you're baking everything.
You bet.
Wake and bake. Okay.
So we
So-
could talk to Reggie and Darlene and see when we could, I'd like to go with you to take a look at that.
Okay.
I'll give Reggie an email or something like that.
We just got to figure out, is it worth it to move?
Right.
And I don't think that's our own decision. It's good. We got to talk to the Board of Selectmen, the historic.
I think you gotta talk to a lot
I gotta
of
look at it
people,
myself, 'cause
agreed.
I
But we don't have
moved
a lot of
built
time.
buildings in my time, and when you get into bonds, there's a certain way to do it. The only way to move it right is get the Dutch people, the Amish. They move bonds all by
They raise
themselves,
bonds.
by themselves.
So Kev, though, what do you think
Using old people's
about that
laws.
barn keeping the face of Litchfield? Do you think that it does?
Well,
Do
he
you
has to
think?
go in it.
I got to go back and look. I
Yeah.
gotta
He's
look
only
at
been
it.
in it once, he said.
I just
Okay.
think that it has a lot of value as far as keeping the town
Well,
to look like
aesthetically,
who the
yes,
town
but,
is.
but we don't know if it's all going to
Need
cost
to look
effective
at bonds.
aesthetically.
I think it's good to kind of bring it in and mull the idea over
Yeah,
some more
yeah.
and see the benefits.
It's time sensitive, though.
So
Jason, maybe
Yeah, we
with
have
your
time.
engineering background,
So
Well, I
should,
will say this, the gentleman that came over, the mover, we asked him point blank, can it be moved? And he said yes.
anything, I think I know, and I know who you're talking about. It can be moved because he's going to put the post in certain spots and crib it up as he's going.
Yeah. and
He
then-
said, and then the folks there thought that it was maybe 35, 40% original. The roof's all original. Second floor is all original. The first floor isn't.
And that's when they changed it to a horse barn. It used to be a
so
cow
should-
barn.
So should I,
What barn?
It used to be a cow barn years ago.
Barn.
should I contact, National Grid and see
Yeah.
what they're,
yeah,
that's the first
that's
big
going to be
hurdle.
pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's
Because you
go.
can't
Let's,
take it down the road, it's too wide.
and there's
Well,
no
you've got the
cost
power,
to do
too.
that, right?
But no, I can just email them.
Yeah. So that's a
Power to-
yeah.
Either way.
Definitely do that because if they say no, then we're done.
Yeah.
Approval.
I think what Joan's doing is probably the
The
best
first
thing
thing.
to do. It's
Yeah.
like,
Go step by
we
step.
have three
You gotta be
things to
sequential.
figure out.
You gotta-
Can it be moved?
Right.
Yes. Can it be moved under the power lines? We'll figure that out.
Yep.
And then Will Fish and Game let us put it there. And then I think at that point in time, we got to figure out, all right, do we
What are we
really
gonna
want
use
to
it
do
for?
this?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Keep checking the
Exactly.
boxes.
Check the boxes, yep.
I did try to use some mapping to measure the power lines, and it seems like it's about 50 feet.
Well, they're gonna go out and they have to survey it because they're putting their detention ponds over. And I told them about the barn. He said, oh, well, I'll go up by 3A and measure those too.
Perfect.
Okay, good.
So, just one more quick comment. I don't know if I brought it up last time, but there is at least one other town in New Hampshire that has where their conservation commission has a barn on conservation land. I'm pretty sure it's Sandown is the one that comes to mind. We could reach out to them and see, like, you have a barn. What do you use it for? And
Yeah,
what
I would
reliability
like to
there.
do that
We already,
too.
so I think they could give us a ton of information, and I'm
That's
pretty sure they'd be
Sandown.
happy to. I'm pretty sure it's
Do you
Sandown.
want me to make that call?
If you'd like, yeah. I know that whatever town that is, they also at least once
It's
a year
conservation.
they hold their monthly meeting, one of their monthly meetings in that barn.
Okay.
So
Hollis has a barn too, but they redid the whole thing and they did the
Yeah.
inside and they,
yeah,
Troy used to work there and he said that they only let it out to people that whoever is in their meeting is like 50%, 51% of the town people, which that was kind of interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
But they, did the whole thing over, nice meeting room.
all right. Well, we have a course of action. So
Okay, so National
Well,
Grid.
moving on. Diane, garden update.
I was able to, I called Steve. Steve's on vacation for the next 3 weeks. He's been on vacation a lot. He's in winter mode. This is his quiet time of year. But I was able to reach him and he did tell me that he was going to contact me when he got back. But I was able to tell him, Harry, that we would be doing the fishing derby and that we would be on that land very possibly. And he said, no problem.
We thought about, I've had the discussion, I've been talking to Jeff Town, and we talked about that. I think using that property for parking, I think we're gonna pass on it. And the reason we're gonna pass on it is because we know that the bridge will not be ready to come down over the property to cross the stream.
Okay.
And walking out on 3A is not something that we want to do
Okay,
with kids,
Maybe,
okay?
maybe the
But that's a
workers could
different
park over
topic.
there.
Pardon?
Maybe the workers could park over there. Whoever's working the Derby could park up there.
it's
Then
up
you'd
to
just be
you,
making one
but
trip.
that's a different topic. We're talking also about the land that's below there, the river, or
Yeah, we're going to be
creek.
fishing on,
but if you end up on his land, you asked me last month to call him.
oh, yes, I'm sorry.
So I called him
Yeah.
and he has no problem if we end up on his land. And if we
Okay.
don't end up in his land, we don't. But I'm just,
Well,
you asked me to
actually-
call him.
Yeah.
I did.
Jason and I went down there, and it looks like that we can, with the amount of banking, if nothing goes wrong, there'll be more than adequate banking that's on our
Okay.
property. So,
Okay.
but thank you for asking.
Okay. And then also while I was talking to him, I got the lawyer for Adjourn Land Trust, her information, and I sent her an email. And Julia Nozzle called me back, and we should have a lease together in like 2 weeks. They lost she said about 75 to 80% of their staff, which is why I hadn't heard back and why it was impossible to reach anybody there. But that they have ramped up their staff again, and that she would put this together. There was some bare bones lease information put together, but that it would cover both you and your bridge and me and the garden. So those two aspects would be in that one lease, and it would be $1 for 5 years. So, and it might be $1 for 10. She hadn't decided if she was going to do it for 5 or 10.
Top price.
Hey. So that's really good news, and that kind of gives me a lot of oomph to get back going on the garden. It gives me a little bit of hope.
Nice.
So that's where I am on that.
Okay.
Matt, just
Yeah.
a couple points on the fishing derby. I did send in the application. Now, the mail wasn't picked up at 6 o'clock tonight, but it's on its way. I did order the fish, and so we're going to get about 158 fish, plus the state will give us 158. And I've been talking to Jeff Town quite a bit, and we both agree that no more than 300 fish in that stream would be more than adequate, okay? So I did send him a list of the supplies, and he made some comments, and like I say, next meeting, I should have some sort of agenda set that we can all agree on. And I'm kind of assuming that all of you here will be available on the 14th. Okay?
Do you have any contingency for low water? So say we're in a drought
Pardon?
situation again. If you, any contingency for low water?
There will not be low
You won't
water.
have low water
What
there,
I'm more worried about
high water.
is high water. When the snow goes, I unfortunately have to go find out where that beaver dam is. Because if that beaver dam is in the brook and we get a lot of water, it potentially could flood out the places where we're fishing.
I know a guy who has a blasting license.
No, I'm not even going there.
Christmas
But
vacation.
I just need to do that. I mean, that's 1,000 things could happen
I
between
know.
high water, low water, or
Okay.
who knows? We'll just cross.
Sorry.
Harry, tell them your big news about the net situation,
Oh,
the restriction.
yeah. So I did get the okay to put a restriction. And logically, I'm saying, oh, put it down, put it so the fish don't go downstream. I talked to Summers Farm, and he said, well, that's a kind of a good idea, but you really want to put it upstream. Huh? He said, because the hatchery fish have a tendency to swim upstream more than they swim downstream. And I said, why? He said, because look at where they're being raised in the troughs or whatever you want to call it. the water is pumped in from this end and flows down, and guess where they feed them from? This end.
But you have that pipe under 3A. I don't think they're gonna go through the pipe.
That, and you got the dam. It was not too far.
Gary's
from there.
gonna be in there
In the pipe?
shooing him.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the blockage at the
I
other end.
want that job. That sounds
fish
like fun.
That would be fun. It's gonna be cold though, a little wet.
But I was kind of surprised, and he said, "Did you even think about that?" And I said, "Never even crossed my mind."
Are we gonna get hats or anything that say fishing derby?
I unfortunately ran out of money buying
Oh,
fish.
jeez.
Get some vests and a Sharpie. That'll do. That's cost effective.
Oh my god.
Just write
it was so
legibly.
cheap. Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah,
'70s
that was-
trucker hat that just says
Yeah, the tall-
fishing
tall
derby.
brim.
That would be
Tall
cool.
letters.
So that's a quick update.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Very good. So our next meeting is March 3rd. Sorry, I took the template for this and it's
Yeah, I do that too
January. So
sometimes,
I updated that on the website and on the.
Also,
Agenda on
when you
that
fix your
people
template,
Oh,
That
and I
goes to
keep forgetting
January
that we're in 2022. All right.
All right, we're good.
All right. So next meeting, March 3rd, weather report. So for the month of February,
January.
January, excuse me. Wow, I'm
I'm here for you.
struggling here.
You got a woman on either side to correct
Yeah.
you, Matt.
Yeah.
You are all good.
All right, very good. So January of 2022, we had a high temperature of 45.3 degrees, minimum temperature of negative 4.9.
Oh.
It got frigid, and an average of 22. Still want to figure out and work with the National Weather Service on measuring snowfall because that's a little tricky, especially when we had that windy storm last week. It's really difficult to get
Yeah,
the
I
actual
posted-
snowfall versus the drift, and so
We
it's a
didn't
little-
have it, so I posted Hudson's, and I got in big trouble because Hudson had 13,
Yeah,
and we might have probably had 6,
and if you go on
7.
the
maybe 8.
National Weather Service website, there are people in the area that are experienced with that through their precipitation measurement programs who are posting the totals. So we can.
well, I thought you're supposed to check 3 places. and
They had a
average.
few. Yeah, there were a few around us. So that's as close as we're gonna get because there was nobody in
Yeah.
Litchfield who's
Oh,
currently
snow might have blew across.
prepared
Ah,
for that.
okay.
So I'd
So
like to do
Hudson
that.
wasn't a bad place to take it from. It just wasn't accurate
it
to
was-
us.
yeah.
That's
Um,
all
Oh,
right.
I know.
So then that's why I didn't include it. But for liquid precipitation, we had 1.92 inches. We had a high wind of 22.1 miles per hour and a gust of 30.9.
Small breeze.
So yeah, not that bad for that storm that was the nor'easter.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in a weird
Coastal.
spot right now because we're under the tree line, and hopefully that's going to get moved up to the water tower. But yeah, as far as the stations go around here, I mean, it's as good as we're going to get for right now.
That seems lower than
Yeah, it did
But it
seem a
was
little
low.
low, but it
I
actually
was shaking the house.
Yeah.
it is. It was still. It wasn't a huge amount off though. I definitely need it's because it's under the tree line. It's only going to be so accurate, but
I know.
Good
I
what we have
never
right now.
felt it where I live. It's all field.
But that's what I have for the weather update. Next up, member updates. Anyone else has any other business to discuss? Oh, okay.
Yay.
And there's no members of the public in here, so no need for second public input, which brings us to the approval of minutes for the January 20th meeting.
Okay, I did both the non-public and the public meeting notes for the 20th, but I did not finish the meeting notes, which are going to be a page
For the special,
for the
yeah.
special meeting.
The 5
I just couldn't get it. I was
Top.
finishing this up as I was leaving the door, so
And I didn't go to the 20th.
That'll go.
Yeah, I reviewed the January 20th minutes. I didn't notice anything out of place, so I have no issue with them.
did anybody else get a chance to read them or want to read them before?
So I make a motion, we accept the 20th, minutes meeting of 20th
January 20th.
as written.
Okay, have a motion. Does anyone else need a moment to have a motion on the floor?
Second.
All right, have a motion, have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
I was staying because I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay, motion passes 601.
And then I have non-public meeting notes.
Yep, I didn't notice anything off with those either.
Make another motion?
Okay, motion.
That was a tough one.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any further discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Harry, did
601.
I didn't hear anything out of you?
Yay.
Yays, did you abstain?
I
thought
was
you
there
said-
for the special meeting.
No,
No, this is the
public.
non-public,
The
the same
non-public
day.
session.
Yeah, so you
Well,
weren't here for those.
It's okay. I have to stay in. That wasn't up there.
Okay, so
601.
601.
Mhm.
Okay.
That was the 26th.
We already did non-public, so next thing is to adjourn.
I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
All right, have motion.
Second.
Motion is both pause and you should do it at the same time.
Ready, set.
Yeah. So who was that? You guys both got it down synchronized.
So is that 700?
Page thing.
Yeah.
All right, we'll give Harry the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? All right, motion passes 7-0.
Right.
All right,
Are these
good.
meetings live on YouTube or,
Yes.
they are.
Right now, yeah.
because I won't be there March 3rd, maybe I can dial
Okay.
in.
You won't be there in March?
March 3rd.
I won't be
All right.
there April.
Thank you very much for tuning in this evening. Have a good night.
Right.
Bye.